EMCO Cal, serving breeders and growers around the world through plant variety management.
Hello, my name is Chad Finn, and I'm a berry breeder with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Agricultural Research Service, based in Corvallis, Oregon. Today we're up at the Oregon State University North Willamette Research and Extension Center. What we'd like to point out today, though, is Vintage. Vintage was one of our first releases, came out in the 2000s. We released Vintage because it was a really nice primocane fruiter, really solid plant, but most importantly of all, it has great flavor and color. It's a really bright colored berry. When you eat it, everybody really enjoys eating Vintage when it's fresh off the plant. It's got good firmness. Production has been very good, especially if you can push their cane numbers up. Canes they're fewer and sturdier, so you need to increase the number to make sure you get plenty of yield.
One of the ways to do this is to plant more plants per foot a row when you're establishing a new planting in the field.
And it seems to have good size when you're growing it in substrate culture, in tunnels. It also seems to have very good size and a very attractive and easy one to handle for longer distance shipping. The season for Vintage, it tends to be a little earlier than what used to be our standard heritage, and so it'd be considered an early to mid-season primocane fruiting raspberry. As far as disease problems, just like any raspberry, it will get root rot, but it doesn't seem particularly susceptible to it. So Vintage should be well adapted to not only here in the Pacific Northwest where it was developed, but also into substrate culture in areas such as the Mediterranean Basin, Peru, Mexico. We have had it in trials in Mexico and it has worked well. It needs to be on a tight picking rotation there, but it has worked fine and very good size. So it should be pretty much adapted wherever the primocane fruiting raspberries are grown. Really only problems we've seen with Vintage is it does have to be picked when it's a firm ripe. If it gets overripe, it will get soft, but when it's picked firm ripe, it is handled very easily. So if you're looking for a raspberry that's going to give you great flavor, great aromatic raspberry flavor that you find very appealing, has good firmness and bright, attractive fruit, good gloss, and will just ship well, you ought to look at Vintage.